They say that our hospitals are deplorable. They say that we can't manage crime. They say a whole lot of things. And I said what I said. I said, if you're going to sit there and criticize us and you don't...
I'm Janet Silvera, and you are watching West Side JA. My guest today is a man that I consider to be one of the most progressive in the city of Montego Bay. Our Deputy Mayor, Richard Vernon. You know, we all call you Vernon as if you're a police officer, right?
All the way.
Richard Vernon, you must be the youngest Deputy Mayor that we have ever had in the city.
So I've heard.
Are you from Montego Bay originally?
I am from Montego Bay, born and bred.
Ah. And you went to school where?
I went to the Montego Bay Infant School, Coronel Avenue Primary School, and then Rusty's High School. You
know, that's the part of it that I don't understand. How is it that this Montegonian ends up in Hanover?
People ask the question all the time.
You should have gone to Cornwall.
That's what they say.
Oh,
that's
all
what
right.
they say.
Rusty's people don't be upset with me.
But I went to Rusty's because I wanted to play football, and actually did. Under 14, under 16, and to a lesser extent, the Dakota Cup football team.
So you're fit as a fiddle?
Well, maybe not now as I was. Yes.
Some time ago, I was reading your bio, and it showed me that you were living, or you may have resided on Hart Street.
That's correct.
I know that Hart Street is one of those volatile communities where a lot of young men have not lived to see age 20. Or if they have, many of them end up in prison.
Those who know Hart Street now are just coming to know of Hart Street. I don't think they know where Hart Street is coming from.
No.
Because Hart Street used to be a very quote-unquote violent place. And at that time, they had different, friction happening between a Hard Street and a lane. And even
railway lane, that is, railway lane.
Versus Hard Street, railway lane versus Hard Street. Hard Street was known for that. But living there, it opened my eyes. It opened my eyes because I was able to see what was happening with the youngsters and to differentiate what was between what was good and what was bad, and how to navigate the progress.
But your foundation was different too, eh?
It was different somewhat because I also lived in Irwindale. So I went home to Irwindale to sleep, but for the entire day I'm at Hart Street. When I leave school, I'm at Hart Street. Before school, I'm at Hart Street.
So can you really claim Hart Street?
I'm not claiming it. It is a part of my socialization. I have to embrace it. Yes.
To be honest with you, I'm not going to beat you over the head for that. I'm never, but I am very interested in finding out when it was that you decided that you wanted to enter politics.
I think it was decided a long time ago, and I think also my father decided it for me.
Right.
And when I entered Rusty's High School, I started as a class monitor and moved up to student council and student councilor, and then prefect, head boy, deputy head boy, then head boy. So representation, leadership has always been there. I have always...
So you were not necessarily bright then when you became head boy?
Bright?
Yes, like a high achiever. Where,
Bright? I was doing my work and I was getting good grades. When I graduated from Rusty's sixth form, I left with, about 10 capes. And yes, about 10 capes.
So you're that bright?
I don't know what you call bright, though, I work hard for my grades.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And I went to the University of the West Indies. But when I was leaving Rusty's High School, my friends asked me, what do you want to become when you grow up, when you leave school? And I said, I want to do business and I want to do politics. And today I'm doing business and politics. Having gone through university and explored the different literature surrounding politics in Jamaica, or political culture, or political history, political thought, I decided that this is where I want to be. This is how I want to engage politics. You have all the information there. But of course, dealing with the theory, it's a bit different from the reality.
Right.
You get on the ground, but of course, I was there because I was at Art Street, so I know exactly what obtained there. And putting all of that together, you say, you know what? Let me try this route. Let me explore this ideology and see how it works for us, because we have seen what has happened in the past. It is documented, albeit from different perspectives.
Yes.
But it is what it is, and I decided that the Jamaica Labour Party is a party.
Would be the party that you would be.
Right.
Congratulations to you on that. But then you went further. You decided that you wanted to also represent one of the inner city communities.
That's correct.
And you also worked hard to become deputy mayor, because that's not an easy task. There were several other, maybe 30 other people who could have gotten the job?
17. 17 divisions. 17
right.
representatives.
So out of 17, so I've doubled it. 17 other divisions that could be representing or being deputy mayor. And because the mayor sometimes will not be able to make it to certain events, you have acted as mayor on many occasions.
Right, and for a very long time. I remember going to events from Homer Davis was mayor, and at that time I was not deputy, but he would ask me to go and represent at certain functions and to deliver messages, you name them, and even to accompany him on trips overseas to ascertain information that could be used for the further development of the city. When he departed and became the Member of Parliament and Minister now, and Mr. Williams, His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Leroy Williams, became mayor, then I threw my hat in the ring to become deputy, and I was elected as deputy mayor. So it has been an interesting
it was
journey.
your peers who
it's an election,
voted for you.
Right, it's an election process, not a selection. And you mentioned the inner city community.
Yes.
I will say to you that it is not by opportunity, it is more by design. I was asked to represent that community, and I embraced representing that community because I understand those people. I understand what is needed, and I've been there, and I decided that, listen, I have to see how best we can try and transform the spaces and to ensure that we get the most out of our people to increase their productive output. And based on that, during my time as councillor, I have impressed upon getting them educated, getting a skill, and to get them a job, because that is what is going to change their reality. You can change the zinc fences,
but you have to change their realities.
If the soft part of them, the qualitative part of them is not developed, then you're going to have the same situation repeating itself.
But let me ask you a question, because it seems to be even more difficult now, though, for politicians to be politicians and not be subjected to all sorts of abuse. I saw a video recently where I was in a state of total shock. Have you ever thought of that? Has anything like that ever happened to you?
Which one?
As a politician?
Which one?
A video where someone was saying that they wanted to attack the politician. I don't want to call the name of the politician, but I can tell you that our people have become so abusive in a way that it's worrying. Are you worried as a politician about those things?
I'm not worried, but I think it is something that we are to worry about. The political culture has changed. Back then, politicians were seen as icons, as fathers, as the boss, as the messiah, so to speak, the person that will deliver you. Today, the political culture has changed. The reality has changed. People are now result-driven. They want to see results. They want to see tangible return on their investment, their votes.
Right.
And they will try as best as possible to hold you accountable. And with the advent of social media, it has allowed persons to share experiences in different spaces. And when that is shared, they realize that much more is being done in certain areas, and now they want the same for their area, and they will ask a politician to get it done or else. So they have grown impatient in this process, and the system has not transformed to match the level at which people want the results, at the pace at which people want these results.
What are some of the...
It is difficult. It is difficult.
I know it is very difficult, and it also depends on the community that you represent as well, eh? Because what communities do you represent?
I represent the core of downtown Montego Bay, and we often refer to them as districts and lanes. So you're talking about a Barnett lane, and if I should give you a synopsis of the geographical area, we're talking about the intersection at Clock, Barnett Street area, intersection of Cottage Road and Barnett Street, down to Fustic Road, the railway lane area, all the way back to William Street, we call it Gully.
Yes.
Paradise Road, all the way up to Albion, where Cornwall College is. And you
Canterbury
take
is
it
yours?
from there. So Canterbury is in that space. You're talking about Cyril Gully, Princess Street. You're talking about that entire space going back to Salt Spring, over to Mount Salem, and back to where I started.
I would say that you have some rough communities. No, communities where we know that the importance of social intervention. I mean, I am from Salt Spring Road, so I know what I'm talking about. I'm not discriminating against anybody from these communities, but I know what comes out of these communities. You have also, I want to take you outside of Jamaica, because I've seen where you have been making an impact internationally. So much so that I understand that people are now asking you to present at various conferences. And that started out sometime in 2018, and you're expected to leave the country this week again for another trip. Are you worried that you may become the Minister of Foreign Affairs eventually, because you're constantly out of the country? Talk to me about that. You have been watching West Side JA. We'll be right back.
All memorable moments include delicious food. Good food can transform the ordinary into extraordinary. We welcome more good times together, more memories we won't forget.
Rainforests always I make delicious moments.
You may become the Minister of Foreign Affairs eventually, because you're constantly out of the country. Talk to me about that.
Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I've never thought about that, but it has been an interesting experience. It started in 2018 as councillor. I was just councillor then, and Minister Davis, then he was mayor, got an invitation to visit a mayor's conference in Medellin, Colombia.
Right.
And he invited me and a technical officer from the municipal corporation to attend. We had to go there and make an impression. We had to write a paper. We had to put something in for a proposal. We didn't win, but we got the experience. We realized that tapping into a development corporation takes a little bit more than sitting at home and calling on the phone. So we went into the space, we realized what is required, and we came back. And we started to embark upon a few projects and programs that we learned from Medellin. One of them is the mural in the city. So we started to push for the urban renewal programs to beautify spaces. So where you see a old tattered space, we want to transform that space and put in a mural, because that is what we saw in Medellin. We have seen that in many other cities across the world, but we were trying to replicate that because there is something to it. It's not just about changing the space, it's also about addressing behavioral situations, bringing about behavioral change of the people. If they can embrace and appreciate that the environment is changing, then they often try to adapt to that environment. So we learned that from Medellin. Coming back from that, I was invited to a number of other forums and conferences. One being one of the major ones being the Caribbean Urban Forum. I was invited to the Caribbean Urban Forum based on a project that is being done in Canterbury. And the project in Canterbury came about via the UN Habitat that is done by the EU and the United Nations. We saw a grant available online during COVID-19,
Right.
the pandemic, and we tapped into that grant.
Right.
We tapped into it to provide rapid response for communities, but for UN Habitat, they're interested in what they call slums, the inner city communities, we call them. And they wanted it to be implemented within a concentrated space.
Right.
And that we did. So I sent in a proposal along with one of our technical officers. We sat down and we conceptualized the project. We spoke with Mayor Davis at the time, and he understood what we wanted to achieve. We sent it in, and they honored the proposal. They liked it, and they decided to grant the sum of
How much money?
$100,000, which was used to provide relief to the people of Canterbury, William Street, Paradise Row, Albion Lane, within that geography, because that is what they wanted. And we provided relief, paint up the place, so, put in murals to remind you that you must, live peacefully, you must keep your space clean, you name them, different messages coming out of that. We did extensive cleaning of the area. We also asked the people to make masks, and we purchased it from them to provide a source of income during the time. And we provided care packages for the most vulnerable, pregnant women, shut-ins, you name them.
Right.
Out of that, it was so successful that UN Habitat wanted us to share that with the world. With the Caribbean first, I was invited to the Caribbean Urban Forum, and I presented on the project, gave the details and everything. They were impressed with the presentation at the Caribbean Urban Forum, so they invited me to Katowice in Poland at the World Urban Forum, that's WOOF 11. And when I did that conference, they really liked it, and they liked the fact that we are putting out there what UN Habitat is doing in our country, but also sharing the experience and
getting other persons to know how to do it.
Tap into the Development Corporation. So out of that, it got some recognition, and persons started to call to say, hey, how are you doing this or doing that? And we start to share that information. Then I was invited by the Association of Local Government Jamaica, ALGA-J, to attend a conference in Barbados on localizing the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And of course, that is in line with our National Development Plan and what we seek to achieve locally, our local Sustainable Development Goals. So I attended that conference. Mayor Maraj asked me to represent Jamaica, to lead a delegation to Barbados. I went there and I did the presentation. Two presentations, one on monitoring and evaluation, how you apply that to projects and development programs, and the other is localizing sustainable development goals. Following that conference, I was invited by the Commonwealth Local Government Forum.
Wow. Wow. So you have been traveling non-stop? I mean, I shouldn't say non-stop, but you have been traveling extensively.
But sometimes I just stopped in other countries.
You have been traveling extensively,
Yes.
sharing your knowledge with many other countries.
And what is happening in Montego Bay.
Right.
Because that is important.
Right.
That is important. So the Commonwealth Local Government Forum invited me now to speak at a youth conference. They call it Youth Voice. I don't remember the exact name right now. And that I also share the experience of how youngsters can engage politics locally. And now I'm invited to speak in Brussels.
Brussels.
On decentralization and inequalities And that is coming from the youth in cities. But we have a number of other experiences.
I know.
And
if we were to talk about all of them, we wouldn't be
spend the
finished
entire
today.
show. Yes.
I know that. I know that. I've been watching your trajectory, and I'm very, very impressed. In fact, you have also been part of some type of controversy as well, where when you said, you have been watching West Side JA. We'll be right back.
All memorable moments include delicious food. Good food can transform the ordinary into extraordinary. We welcome more good times together, more memories we won't forget.
Rainforest always, I make delicious moments.
You have also been part of some type of controversy as well, where when you said that persons are leaving Jamaica to go elsewhere for greener grass instead of staying here and contributing. I don't necessarily feel as if you said anything that should make anybody offended. I don't know if it is how you said it. But tell me, have you recovered from that?
I think so. I think so. In fact, when I attend some functions,
Yes.
not regionally or internationally, because I don't think they pay much attention to our local stories internationally. But in other places in Jamaica, as soon as I walk in the room, they start to smile and say, you know, I agree with you. But what they don't understand is that what they agree with is not necessarily what I said.
Talk to me. What is it that you really meant?
I was coming from the point of our institutional capacity as a country. And I was speaking to a group of youngsters. And what I said to them is that now that you have been invested in by our corporate members, and they're saying to you, go to school on a scholarship and come out with proper skills to develop this place. If it is that you are invested in here in Jamaica, why export this talent? One of our major problems, and I think that it is inherent, is that we don't have enough in our armory, in our institutional capacity to develop our country. And that is why you see this thrust by the government to widen the pool of skilled workers. Because skilled workers is what makes a country competitive. It is what makes you set apart from other countries in terms of your growth. So if our pool of skilled workers is depleting, then we have a problem.
But people will say to you, Deputy Mayor, that it's not attractive enough for them to remain.
And that is why the salaries are increased. But the thing is, it is a cart before the horse or the horse before the cart. Because for me, it is a case where we have to work together to reach to that point so that we can realize the goal. The goal can't be put in front of you in monetary form and then you work to reach it. But it is hard because you'll be taking from nothingness to create that goal, right? So in terms of increasing our individual productive output, you have to get the education, you have to put that into the economy so that the economy can perform better. So when I said what I said, I was saying that those who leave turn their backs and refuse to contribute to the further development of the country, yet stay where they are, and they criticize us about our social development. They said that they would never come back. They said that our hospitals are deplorable. They said that we can't manage crime. They say a whole lot of things. And I said what I said. I said, if you're going to sit there and criticize us and you don't want to do anything, then you're a coward. And that is what I said.
Okay, on that note, I don't even want them to hear you say what you just said. So on that note, I'm going to say to you that it has been a fantastic morning spent with you, getting to know you a little bit better and getting the audience that watches Westside JA, that is, to listen to some of the things that you have to say.
And
So
thank you very
again, I
much,
want to
Sean, for
thank
having me
you.
on your show.
I want to thank you. You have been watching West Side JA. Catch you on the inside.